I think we're live.
We are live.
Wow. I don't. Okay. Hey, everybody. We are Kinetic Effect. I'm Kirk. You can see
I'm Gabriel.
Yep. Kirky. You can call me too if you want. Yeah, we're Kinetic Effect, right? And some of you watching may know who we are already. Some of you might not have a clue, but this is very new for us. We have
weird.
never done.
This is weird.
It is weird. Yeah.
Weird.
And I'm weird, so it fits my personality. We're online doing a virtual performance for everybody, which means that, and we're in two totally different locations, right? Because this pandemic right now has really challenged us. I mean, for sure.
Have we ever performed live from two different places? Never, right?
No, not at all. No, because right now
this is a first.
I can't
premiere.
I can't. Yeah, I know. But we've done nothing traditionally, so this just fits right in the mold.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I was gonna say, like, it has also, like, we're making fun of this now and having fun, but it has been rough. There's absolutely no doubt. Yeah. Never in our lives have we lost so much the ability to do the work that we do, which is healing and important for me, because I need to do this. I need to stand in front of people and share my story and connect with them. And it's amazing right now that we get a chance to at least try to do that like this. And Willard Library reached out to us and made this possible. So we have them to thank greatly for that.
Thank you so much, Willard Library. It's it's been crazy to not be able to do what we love to do. I know a lot of people are going through that as well, so we're not alone in that. But yeah, we cannot typically do what we do without an audience. So thank you to Willard Library, and thank you to technology for allowing us at least to connect in some way.
Yes, and hopefully I don't screw it up. I was going to say this is family friendly.
I don't think they have a live bleep button.
I was going to say, though, this is the thing that's interesting, is that normally I'm so built on like saying a punchline and getting an audience laugh, and right now it's going to be like how my parents treat my jokes.
Silent.
Absolutely. So that'll be interesting. So and we really hope truly that this does help connect people. We really want to be here to inspire people. This has been an amazingly rough time in so many ways for so many people, and so many things are happening in the world that are challenging so many of us and causing a lot of division. And so now,
why are we here today?
Well, we're here to do what we love to do. It's more important now than ever, I think, to reach out and connect, to be inspired, to share our stories, because obviously we've seen this, you can be in the same room with people and everyone can be disconnected, not even connected with each other, on their phones, somewhere else. And right now, it's kind of a reminder of just how important it is that when you are with people, to connect, because right now we're seeking connection from entirely far away. And so I was going to say, really what I think is most important at this moment is that to know that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us expected this. None of us expected this. I don't know if you did. I mean, I wasn't anticipating this. I'm sure if we look down in the annals of history that someone would have said, yes, like Bill Gates said, I guess at a TEDx that said, we have a virus coming, let's prepare. And we were like, no, that's all right, never mind. And the reality is that no one ever thinks like, oh yeah, no, one day I'm going to die. So let's put that in my thought process now at 20. But I think that's something that you and I have experienced in our own lives that enabled us to understand like how important it is to try to embrace the moment, take risks, live, be present. Right. I mean, I was going to say, for me, it's one of the reasons why I became a teacher. I became a teacher because I had wanted to try to help other people embrace the moment and learn what life is about and enjoy it for what it is. And one of the great things about teaching a lot is it taught me to be okay with absolutely miserably failing people constantly, including my wife at the time, because I worked so much that I kind of destroyed that relationship. Hi out there, Amy. I hope you're doing well. Yep, I did that. And I did a lot for my students, but along the way, I just made a lot of failures as a teacher. But that's kind of how I ended up finding you as well, was through my failures, through my trudging through the world and trying to figure it out as I went along.
Aw, it's like our failures brought us together. How wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
no
we
doubt.
were like, and then we were like, okay, we made failures. Let's be poets.
Yeah. Yeah. So for everybody who is maybe just tuning in and doesn't really know who we are, hasn't seen us before.
Yeah.
So we make a living as performers, as spoken word poets, as motivational speakers. We get to travel around the country doing this work. We also co-founded a nonprofit organization called Speak It Forward, and we do writing and performance workshops, which is why we're here today, because we're going to be doing a collaboration with Willard Library, running a couple workshops this presentation. So we're excited about that.
As a matter of fact, I even see someone here that
There it is on the ticker.
oh, nice. There it
All
is.
right, look at that technology.
That's exciting. You can obviously tell I'm old because this stuff excites me.
So, you know, Kirk and I met because we had, you know, made a lot of stumbles and mistakes along the way, but it drove us to what we love. So Kirk mentioned being a teacher. He left that job.
Yeah.
In 2008 to
remember the economy, guys? For those of you that are old enough to remember, 2008, the economy was just as good as it is now.
That joke has a little bit of a different tune today, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, Molly Kate Johnson, I appreciate you too very much. She saw us years ago, as a matter of fact. The great thing about this online stuff is we can still be in touch with people that we saw years ago, and that's one of the most beautiful things about what we do. But at the same point, I don't have a clue of what we're doing. So if anything goes awry at one point, just blame Willard Library.
No, we appreciate them. But
yeah.
So when Kirk had left his job, I was actually finishing up my undergraduate degree at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I had an opportunity at the time to move to Chicago with my girlfriend at the time and go to Columbia College on a potential full ride scholarship to get my master's degree. And I was super excited about that. And then Kirk called me and was like, hey, I'm taking a sabbatical for a year from work to do this full time. And I was like, oh, I guess that means I probably shouldn't go to Chicago.
I was like, I'm going to guilt trip you, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up turning down this opportunity, and both of us pursued this career as full-time spoken word poets. And I think the interesting thing about it is we were able to do that because we had so many life experiences that led us to understand that what was really important at the end of the day, right? You know, a lot of us strive to make money. A lot of us strive to build a career, to support our families. Some of us have situations, you know, that are unfortunate, and we have to kind of grind and do things that are just necessary. But, you know, I've been thinking about it a lot during this pandemic as well. Like at the end of the day, I see a lot of people who are scared and who are acting out of fear.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of choices that I think in the long run they're going to regret because they scrambled and they reacted instead of contemplated and acted, right? And I'm watching that with friends. I'm watching that with family. I've had some real tragedies happen over the course of this last, you know, 2.5 months. But one thing that Kirk and I had spoken about when this first started was, what are the things that have prepared us for this? You know, I don't think anything can really prepare you, but you know, I was speaking with Kirk just about all the difficulties, the struggles, and the mistakes that I had made in my life that really had prepared me to be able to kind of sit back in this situation and absorb it and not react, but to be patient and kind of wait a little bit to kind of see what would happen. And the reality of it is whether you react or you act, those mistakes are going to be able to teach you something. So I'm a firm believer that regardless of whatever you're doing, regardless of the choice right now, those situations are opportunities for you to learn. And I think too often we not only react, but then we worry so much about the outcome that we second guess what it is that we're doing.
Oh, yeah. I think you hit it on the head, which is in times like this, especially, it's like you have past experiences that, you know, you think about because they set you up for the future. You're like, oh, man, stuff has gone bad in the past, so it's bound to happen again. And then you worry about the future and you're missing out on the moment right now. And to me, that I think is I think that's difficult, right? It leads us to make a lot of mistakes, to start, seeing, because we have a hammer as a tool, we start seeing every problem as a nail, and that's the way I approach it. And I'm like that, definitely aggressive person. I always hammer at something, and I realize that it leads to me having to learn. In moments like this, for example, with everything that's going on, the protests, the riots, the concern, the all the amalgamation of voices that are out there, there's bound to be, no matter how wonderful a person you are, there's bound to be mistakes along the way, because we are different people. If I'm dancing with you, Gabriel, just to use a metaphor, if I'm salsa dancing with you, yep, very good, you look great, excellent. When we dance, we're bound to step on feet occasionally. You can sit there and blame the other person for that, but we're really all just trying to be in this big dance together. And I will tell you, I've been through enough mistakes to, come to the realization that they're inevitable.
You're a bad dancer?
What's that?
Your realization is you're a bad dancer?
Oh. I don't think I needed the realization for that. I'm horrible. I do love booty bumping, though, at like weddings and stuff. My mom hates it because I always get right up on, hey, Mom. And hi, Mom. How you doing out there? But isn't that true? That's part of what I do. When I know I'm not very good at something or I'm going to make mistakes, I have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yet when it comes to these serious things in life, we take them so seriously, and it can crush us. So, and this is a time to maybe have some levity, maybe enjoy life a little bit, maybe be okay with some of those failures.
So speaking of that, it's definitely one of the things that I have embraced and learned from my business partner, Kirk, over here, and that I'm grateful for is to not take things always so serious. I'm still working on that, brother. In that light, we have written something and really become fond of using failure as a learning opportunity. And we have a video that we would like to share with you that embraces that. And it was a really cool experience for us a few years ago when we got a chance to perform at TEDx Detroit.
Yep, absolutely. Here it is. The poem is Failure is Living from TEDx Detroit, and we're going to play it right now. Hopefully our guide there at Willard is handling the full screen version, because we have no idea, or I have no idea what I'm doing. So here we go. Enjoy it, everybody. Hi, everyone. My name is Kirk Latimer.
My name is Gabriel Jerome.
And together we are known as Kinetic Effect.
Now, most people have a fear of failure. But if we let fear prevent us from taking necessary risks in our lives, we miss out on the opportunity to live our best lives.
In fact, one of the greatest philosophers of our time, Mike Tyson, once said that in order to succeed greatly, you need to be prepared to fail greatly. And if you can't do both, then you got a problem.
When I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3B testicular cancer. By the time they found it, it had spread throughout my entire body. During my 3-year battle with cancer, I underwent numerous surgeries that left me not only scarred, but also feeling like a failure, feeling like I was at my lowest, because I had moments where I couldn't stand on my own, moments where I could not sit up without asking for help, moments where I couldn't even eat without the assistance of someone else. But they taught me some of the greatest life lessons, not just about my own self, but about how to truly succeed in life. And that's what we're here to talk about. As a matter of fact, I am no stranger to failure either. I'm married, so only reason why you're laughing and clapping is because you know it's damn true. The reality is we all go through failures. Every single person in this room has experienced failure in their life, especially you. He goes, yeah. The question you have to ask yourself, though, is when you get knocked down, when you're facing that failure, are you going to stay down, or are you going to get back up on your feet? If you haven't failed in life, you haven't lived. Because failure tells us that we've taken a risk, that we're still challenging our own limitations. It's only when we cross the boundary of our comfort zone that we begin to open the lid of who we are and rid yourself of the box that everyone tells you to think outside of. And history favors the risk takers, because only those who risk going too far can find out how far we can actually go. You'll never read about anyone throughout history who successfully inspired change because they followed the crowd, because they played it safe, because they cared too much about what other people thought about them. Remember that your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. It's only when you jump blindly from your nest that you can experience the act of flying. You just have to be willing to spread your wings and trust you're meant to soar to heights you never thought possible from the comfort of your fear. Don't allow the things that scare you to keep you grounded. Instead, become like the Wright brothers after their first crash and be willing to collide into the dirt, to turn the toughest moments of your life into the burst of wind you need to get you airborne, so that one day you can see what the bottom looks like from the clouds. And even though you know your eyes can't see past the horizon, it doesn't mean that the world ends at the sunset. They won't teach you this in school. You can't sign up for Failure 101, only audit and observe, so when you graduate, you can navigate the real world, the place where 99% of the things you will experience are taught. The place where you will find that the rules and lessons you learned in school don't apply. Because in school, the most successful students are the people who make the fewest mistakes. But in life, the most successful professionals are the people who learn to turn the mistakes into masterpieces. Artists who have discovered that you can't really figure out how something works until you break it apart. And they'll probably call you crazy for your beliefs, because that's what passion inspires. It inspires the outrageous, the wild, and it turns the impossible into the incredible, like cell phones and spaceships. Or sharing parts of yourself with complete strangers, and in the process, becoming friends. That's what happens when you take risks. Sometimes you create amazing things that change the way we live, but often we fail. You have to, because mistakes are a part of the learning process. Success and failure, they hold hands. You just have to be willing to jump off the deep end, because pearls don't lie on the seashore. If you want one, you have to dive to the bottom and take it. It's only when you dig deep that you can plant the seeds that will grow into something beautiful, and will guarantee that when you wake up in the morning, you still feel alive. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you end. What matters most is what you do in between. The steps that you get to wherever you are, and the times you got back up after you fell. So dust yourself off, start chasing your dreams, and start living a life that will leave you with a smile on your face and a strong heartbeat in your chest. And start that life today. Start by taking a risk. Start by learning from your failures. And start to appreciate the scars you have that remind you that you lived a life worth living. Thank you.
Cool. Woo!
Man, those guys
That
are
was
good.
Yeah. I remember a guy that had short hair. And the
Maybe.
joke I made in there is so funny. Yeah, well, you look great though. I look like the opposite side of anywhere anybody wants to be when I'm bald. So the thing that was, I think, really funny in that video is when I talk about, oh, I know what it means to fail. I'm married. Well, I even know what it means to fail doubly, because now I'm divorced from that marriage as well. I don't even want to laugh, but it's been a rough time. It's been an interesting time. And I know for a lot of people, it's a challenge, right, to be locked up in place with people. It's a challenge to be at a distance from people. It's a challenge to be anywhere. As a matter of fact, I mean, one of the beautiful things that you mentioned, Gabriel, in that video from the beginning was understanding that the struggle that you had been through, when you got a chance to face yourself and your difficulties, what they left behind on you, whether they're, scars inside or on the outside, really taught you some amazing lessons. And I would love to be able to go down that road a bit, because I feel like there's so many people who are feeling that right now.
Yeah. So I won't get too detailed into it, because obviously we're going to talk about some of this stuff in our workshops, and it's part of the platform that our writing has evolved from, which is sharing the struggles and the difficulties that we go through, because we all go through them, and that's okay. And I think, unfortunately, in our society, up to a point, we were taught that we don't talk about these things, we don't share these things, and really that's difficult, because when you compartmentalize and just shove those things down, eventually they come out in other ways. So for me, I grew up in poverty, didn't really have a lot. And it definitely led me to make some mistakes and some choices in my life when I felt like money was the thing that we all needed to strive for. I moved from New York to Michigan when I was 9 because my parents had gotten divorced. And the area that I moved to in Michigan had more of a middle to high socioeconomic status. And so I didn't fit in. I was brown. I had a New York accent at the time instead of my more Midwestern accent now. I didn't really fit in. And so, I started hanging out with the outcast kids. I got into a lot of trouble. I started doing drugs and alcohol. I got involved in gangs. It led me down a very negative path. And I was lucky to kind of get out of my teen years without really having any severe damage done to my future. I cannot say the same about some of my close friends. As you know, my best friend growing up in high school is serving 18 to 42 years in a maximum security prison here in Michigan. And here I am, on the other side of that. So I count my blessings. But really, ultimately, the biggest change shift that happened in my life was when I was 18. In order to try to correct some of those mistakes, I ended up enlisting in the military. And while I was in service out of the country, I was overseas in Germany, I ended up being diagnosed with cancer. And by the time they found it, it had spread throughout my entire body. And I ended up having to go through almost 3 years of treatment to be able to get a clean bill of health and return home. And so I went through 4 cycles of chemotherapy, 4 major surgeries, dozens of minor procedures. Can you hear my dog barking?
Oh, I thought that was my son.
He's not happy about the fact that I had to go through cancer.
Oh, man.
So no, actually, it's probably just a leaf that blew by in the driveway, and he's make sure that it doesn't do any damage. But yeah, so I went through all these things, and I had to face this really difficulty in my life of going through a severe traumatic experience. For me, one of the bigger realizations during that time, though, was I got diagnosed with cancer in March of 2001, and I had my one of my surgeries, actually one of my procedures, on September 10th of 2001. So, of course, the next day in our history will forever be known as 9/11. And that really changed the perspective of how I looked at that, right? Because I felt like, man, I'm going through something really difficult. No one else has it worse than me. And then it was put in my face, the difficulties that other people were, going through. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at in this situation right now. It feels like, this is really difficult for me. I was watching that video thinking like, man, when's the next time I'm going to be able to step on a stage, with an audience? But the reality is, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are going through difficulty. And so I feel like this is, just another one of those situations where I get to reflect and say, like, what are the things that I'm grateful for? What are the things that I can count as a blessing? Hello. And this is my dog. He's the best in the whole world. And so, the situation for me then was, what can I be grateful for? Well, I survived, and I was able to take those lessons and utilize those to be able to then start this with you. And I'm so grateful that I've met you and that we're doing this work. And I'm trying to find that right now in this moment. It's difficult. We can't really work. You know what I mean? There's no like, well, we can perform in front of 8 people who are separated in a room type situation. We're used to performing in front of audiences from like 50 to 3,000 people. Yeah. So, not 50,000, 50 people to 3,000 people.
50,000 would be great.
50,000 would be fun. So how do we find the appreciation in this moment? And that's been difficult. But, at the end of the day, really what it led me to was focusing on following my passion, doing the things that I love. And that's why I was really able to say, okay, I won't go to Chicago. I won't do this thing that everybody's told me I should do. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to take a chance on myself. I found someone else who's willing to go through this journey with me. And I'm so grateful to you, brother, for doing that, because I love the work that we do. I know that we'll be back on the stage again, but even if we never were, that would have been one of the best decisions I'd ever made in my life.
I can't agree more. Even the way you said, even if we didn't, it made me feel sad to even hear that, because
Here, let me cheer you up.
Hi, Shiva. Hi, dog. Hi, puppy. Stephanie Boyd, thank you. Stephanie from Willard is here, and yes, the dog is adorable.
I've never been able to bring him to a performance. Thank you, Stephanie. This is awesome.
Yeah, we should not work Shiva into performances in the future. No, but I think that's the beauty of things, though, too, is that you do have a connection in your dog. And I'm gonna be honest, Gabriel will tell you, I was not much of a dog fan, really. And truly, one of the reasons why is even when I met Gabriel, I could barely open up to him, because my life experiences had taught me that it was safer to keep people away than to be close to them. And that kind of leads me to kind of maybe jump off of what Gabriel's talking about in my own story. I mean, I don't have the same kind of dramatic experience that Gabriel had in facing cancer, in having that kind of really strong change in his life through those means. But my life experiences maybe are relatable to some people, in that when I was young, I grew up, as the kid everyone made fun of, especially when I got into, like, remember second grade, because I was fat. I was big. I was big boned. Okay. I was a big kid. I did not have money. So I wore, things that other kids didn't think were cool, or definitely showed that I was not, that I was poor. And I was super sensitive. And if you're a boy, especially back in the 80s, and you are a boy and you are, super sensitive, and you cry over little things, like I lost my earmuffs one time in second grade, and I bawled my eyes out in class, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, why are you crying?" And I didn't want to be like, "Oh, earmuffs." So I told them, I said, I told them, I said, my dad died, because I wanted them to feel like, whoa, that's a legitimate reason to cry. That was really, really stupid, because later that afternoon, my dad picked me up from school in front of everybody. So they all saw that I was lying. But even in that moment, what did I learn? I learned that it's better to lie so that people don't find out who you really are. They don't find out that you're sensitive. They don't find out that I'm easy to hurt. And man, I was. So a slew of life experiences taught me to be like, okay, all right, that's how they're going to be with me. I need to change the way I look. I need to lose weight. I need to start looking tough. I need to wear clothes that say, don't come close to me. I need to start acting a way that pushes people away. And I got a loudmouth on me. You can hear it. I still got it today, but the loudmouth back then was definitely to push people away. And that's what I started doing. Started getting into fights. Started doing a bunch of things I shouldn't have done. All because ultimately I looked in the mirror and I saw a fat, stupid, ugly, unloved, unworthy kid. And you know what? In this situation right now, where I'm at, this is going to bring that back up. When I look in the mirror and I'm alone, are those thoughts still with me? Some of them are. I can feel them sometimes. A part of me, I look in the mirror, I go, I'm still not good enough. My marriage fell apart during this thing. I'm talking right now. It just fell apart weeks ago. I mean, I put everything I have into this again, and I failed again, I feel like. And that just makes me feel like I did when I was a kid. I never had the relationships. No one ever wanted to love me like that. I remember a girl one time, and I love her now. I see her on Facebook now, Jamie, so I appreciate you now. But I remember back in the past when we had that one little, will you go out with me one day? And then a week later, she called me up in front of class and said it to everybody that I smelled. I mean, that was enough that stuff can still haunt you. And then that comes back up now. And I'm sharing that because that's who I was. While I was dealing drugs, treating people poorly, getting into fights, I was a kid and I was hurt. I was angry. I was sad. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I think there are a lot of people out there right now that are facing the same thing, acting out of anger, out of fear, rather than really looking inside. And I'm not saying it's easy. And I had a moment where, I mean, why am I here now? Why am I not the same? Well, okay, I'm still a bit of a jerk sometimes. I still say things I shouldn't say. I'm still working on it. But why am I not down the path that I could have been? My friend went to prison. I could have gone there. A lot of people that I know died. I could have ended my life early. I thought about it. I didn't, because ultimately, my senior year of high school, I had a situation that opened my eyes. There was, we became known as Suicide High. Anyone that's from Henry Ford II High School that's watching this knows that 9 people from my school took their lives, and it happened in a 3-month time period. 5 of them were people that were my friends. I mean, kids that I grew up with across the street. Kids that I once, loved when I was young, and they're gone. And I was given an amazing glimpse of the future, which was, we're all going to die. Do I want to fast forward to that? Or do I want to use my time to embrace what I have left? And that's ultimately what I decided I was going to try to do. And I'm lucky, because then I meet people like Gabriel, and that reignites my realization that not everybody's here to hurt me. Not everybody's here to leave me. Trust me, there are many times where Gabriel probably could have said, hell no, I'm out. Bye-bye. I'm not easy to get along with. I mean, even today, with everything I've been through, I didn't give you extreme amounts of detail, but I've gone through enough that I just found out just now, with my therapist, that I probably have borderline personality disorder on top of everything else. And yet people look at me walk down the street, they might think, oh, there's that yuppie guy, the frat boy with the hair, and the guy who thinks he's way too cool. And I just sit with all this like Gabriel does. The scars that I have are internal, but they are beautiful. I really truly believe that. Actually, meeting Gabriel actually physically seeing your scar, I think it's one of the most beautiful things that you can carry around with you, because it demonstrates just how resilient we are, how amazing so many of us are. Because there are so many people right now. I mean, Gabriel, you just lost someone in your life, a family member, a friend, took his life like I experienced.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, sometimes you can't change someone's trajectory. But you know what? I'm telling you, you can use that as fuel. I know that you are such a beautiful person that I swear to God, if I hadn't met you, I may have gone down the same road.
Well, I'd like to think that you would have found the strength, because I know your heart and I know your willpower, but I appreciate that. And I just want to, echo your second sentiments, which is we're all going through a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Both you and I have lost people during this coronavirus already, not necessarily due to the coronavirus specifically, but to this situation or in this situation in this time. And, we've had each other to lean on. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that. And actually what Kirk and I did was we took it upon ourselves to try and craft something to try and uplift other people.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to play that because we're kind of coming to the end of our time here today, but we are going to be doing some workshops. Hopefully that scroll will pop up again to be able to get people if they want to register. Be there.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Someone in the background is listening.
It's so nice that we don't have to do that. I can just say it and it pops up. So thank you so much to Willard Library. But I do want to say this before we play the video, which is we were writing it for the first 6 weeks while we were in quarantine. So we were going back and forth. We were able to record it separately. I was able to edit it together. Kirk did some music for it. So we did this whole thing, which normally we're able to, be in close proximity and work together. But we also did it before all these riots and everything popped off. So I just wanted to say that because it didn't include those things because we wrote it before everything popped off. And I just want to honor what is going on in our country. And that's why it's not included in the video.
And I wanted to add really quickly that I'm looking at these litany of comments that are coming in. Because so many people thank you. I don't think you understand. we do so much work to give to other people that is so nice to hear you just say that you're worthy of being loved, that yes, exactly. Staying in the world helps so many others. Do you know what that means to me? I've been told so many times that staying in this world was really going to be bad. So why would I be around? And I'm telling you, what an amazing thing for you to do that for us. So ultimately, this piece is called Standing United, and it's really in honor of people like you. It's really in honor of what you've given us as a gift. So without further ado, right?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. It's still technical, so give me a moment. I'm still learning. Here we go. All right, everybody.
What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. I'm holding in there. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I am calling to let you know I've got a little bit bad news.
What's up?
So another performance has been canceled on us. I mean, it's not a surprise, right?
I know it's crazy out there right now.
I know. Think about it. I mean, we're going through a lot, and I know that this has been pretty devastating for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of families.
I know it's really making me rethink a lot of things.
Yeah? Like what?
Well, when we are first brought into the world, everything is brand new. Every experience is special and exciting, and we are captivated by the simplest things.
We are fascinated by our reflections and love playing silly games like peekaboo that end up teaching us important life lessons, like the fact that just because something's out of sight doesn't mean it isn't there.
Or that the things we thought were lost forever are just waiting to be found again.
But we forget these lessons as we grow up, and we stop believing in things we cannot see.
So it's only when we have everything taken away from us,
like the security of our job
and the comfort of our friends and family, that we begin to see who we really are, without the distractions or the opportunity to escape.
But sometimes life requires us to stand still in order to help us move forward.
Sometimes we must sit in silence so we can hear the voice inside us, the one that's been drowned out over time by the deadlines of our work,
by the binging
and the consuming,
while we stare at the stars on our screens instead of the ones in the sky. We are blinded by the bright lights and extravagant lives of characters who only exist in stories, while the true heroes get forgotten.
like the ones who we count on to teach our children,
or the nurses who rise up to the challenge of bringing temperatures down,
or even the janitors we overlook
because we've been too distracted to see
how they keep our world beautiful. We become too busy to stop and appreciate the little things,
to smile and laugh at our own reflections. Instead, we've grown fearful of being alone with our thoughts and of the monsters that lurk in the shadows of our minds.
the ones that ask questions like, are you enough?
Did you do enough?
Did you do it right?
Do our lives really matter?
Do our voices?
Do our hearts?
And sometimes I don't like the answers I come up with. But it's times like these that teach us that we cannot live a full life without acquiring a few bruises,
or broken bones,
or surviving a few storms that shake the branches of our stability,
pull at our roots,
and test the strength of our hearts. That's what life does. It shows us that there can be no butterfly without a caterpillar turning inwards,
and consuming all that it was so that it can become all that it was meant to be.
that there can be no trees without a seed being ripped apart and crawling through the dirt towards the sun.
And that in order for a baby to be born, mothers must endure waves of agony and suffering. And yet, many choose to do it all over again because of the beauty that kind of pain brings into the world.
There's nothing peaceful about creating something new. There's no change without sacrifice.
So even through all this difficulty, we are being offered a chance to learn from the cracks in our system being exposed
by a virus we were not ready for. It is showing us how even as we sit alone in our homes, we are all connected.
From the garbage truck drivers,
to the restaurant owners,
to the grocery store workers,
to the healthcare professionals, and all the people on the front lines
who fight to keep us afloat from being drowned by the rising tides of our mistakes.
They are all working tirelessly so we can finally sit in silence and hear the message we've been ignoring for so long.
The one that is telling us to slow down, reminding us how to be captivated by even the simplest things, and to appreciate the reflections we see in the mirror.
And hopefully we don't need to still play peekaboo to open our eyes and see that we are more than statistics on a chart,
or numbers that make up our economy.
We are larger than our bank accounts and greater than the sum of our parts. We are more than our words,
and stronger than our actions.
We are the doctors and nurses.
We are the sanitation crews and delivery drivers.
We are the artists and teachers,
the frontline workers,
and we are the reason we will pull through this, no matter what tries to pull us apart.
And so long as we hold on to one another, we can change the course of our history and write a new chapter.
About the time when we realized we were more than just a hive of worker
facing an enemy we cannot see.
But this may be just the reminder we need, that no matter who you are,
Or where you're from,
we can find the things we thought were lost forever, like that feeling of connectedness we used to have with the world.
so instead of running from our past and burying each other,
We can bury our grudges in the dirt and rebuild this country together.
from the bruises, broken bones, and branches left behind from the storm,
And finally, we can stand united. Hey, this is Gabriel and Kirk of Kinetic Effect. Thank you so much for watching our video. Make sure to smash that like button below and click that
We don't need to
subscribe
hear
button
those
for us.
guys. We don't need to hear those
share this
guys
video with everyone.
Bye-bye. Yeah, you guys. Wow. I get goosebumps from that. I love that. Man.
So some of it was coming in really clear, and then there were bits where it was lagging a little bit. So if you want to watch those videos, you can go to our YouTube page. Just type in Kinetic Effect YouTube, or our Facebook page, or www.kineticeffect.com. Links to all those, both videos that we played here. And again, check out the ticker that's rolling right there, teen services at willardlibrary.org.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Willard, right? And a big thank you to Stephanie for bringing us in, and Alicia for watching our backs, and for me for screwing up the videos and all that good stuff. Lots of mistakes still. You guys are amazing. I mean, I really hope we get a chance to get back to doing this work that we do. But even if we can't, if you can get at least one person watching this and make a small difference, maybe one person from making a mistake that will change your lives forever, maybe turning that around, it will definitely be worth it.
Yeah, so we would love to see you all soon. Shoot a message to that email, sign up, come hang with us. We're going to talk about some real things about life, just get a chance to have a safe space to share, to connect, to write, and help you all craft something if you want to create something, and then maybe have an opportunity to be able to share it live online.
Yeah, we would love to hear your stories. That's what it's about. But they're hopefully not going to be better than mine. But they probably will be. We hope so, at least. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Willard Library. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye, everybody.